Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. It's a pleasure to speak opposite the Honourable Lady, with whom I have worked extensively over many years on international development, thereby demonstrating one of Jo's core beliefs more in common. And the Honourable Lady, who spoke so movingly about Jo and encapsulated perfectly the essence of who she was and what a politician should be: decent, principled, clear and determined. And I'm delighted to see the Honourable Member for Spen Valley, who has secured this debate in her place. She exhibits all of Jo's brilliant qualities in fighting for the causes to which she is devoted, such as assisted dying, on which I'm proud to work alongside her. And the whole House recognises that on this very divisive issue, she showed incredible decency and probity in the way in which she pursued it. I can't quite believe, Madam Deputy Speaker, that we are commemorating a whole decade since Jo's life was brutally cut short. And 10 years on, it is just as painful to comprehend. Jo was both my colleague and my friend. We were different in our politics and backgrounds, but on the issues that we were both passionate about, we moved in lockstep. Like the Honourable Lady, I remember exactly where I was when the horrific event took place. Our paths first crossed when we marched together against injustice in Darfur through the centre of London. Subsequently, I met her in Sudan, in Darfur, in 2006 on two separate visits, one of which included the then leader of the opposition, David Cameron. Jo was a huge presence all those years ago, and I remember her also for her trademark scarves. I marvelled at the way she discharged her role at Oxfam in Sudan, supporting women and children and helping secure water for the thousands of refugees living in camps. I still wear the green wristband she gave me then as a reminder of the desperate plight of people caught up in what President Bush rightly described as a genocide. And yet today, 20 years later, Sudan is still in crisis, with ethnic cleansing practiced with impunity. Whereas 20 years ago, the international community, through the United Nations and the African Union, put military forces on the ground to stop it, sadly today, unbridled barbarism continues in plain sight, and the international community is doing nothing to stop it. And I'm sure the whole House will be grateful to the Honourable Member, our honourable friend, for leading a debate in Westminster Hall later today. Shortly after her election in 2015, Jo asked me whether we could team up to run a new all-party group, Friends of Syria. Without hesitation, I agreed. Syria was ablaze. She knew that I took a great interest in the Syrian refugee crisis from the backbenches, watching with despair as a situation which the Honourable Lady described so well got worse and worse. Jo was determined to use her experience and expertise to champion the dispossessed and felt we might be well paired to campaign together. And as she said in her maiden speech back in 2015, we are far more united and have far more in common with each other than the things that divide us. And we would do well to reflect on her words, and especially her character. Fearless determination, unintimidated by tribal political pressures, putting the greater good above personal ambition, placing policy above party. And Jo and I worked closely together for a year until she was murdered. I loved every minute of it. We had a rather useful good cop, bad cop routine. Unusually for me, I found myself as the good cop. Needless to say, Jo relished the bad cop role, especially when confronting the villains of the piece. And believe me when I say she took no prisoners. On one occasion, we were taking tea with the Russian ambassador to remonstrate about the appalling crimes committed in Aleppo in Syria. The ambassador had recently complained to the Foreign Office that in the House here I had compared Russia's bombing of Aleppo to the Nazi bombing of Guernica during the Spanish Civil War. During the meeting, Jo did most of the hardball talking. And at the end of that, she had triumphantly reduced a seasoned diplomat to incoherence, laying bare his inability to defend the indefensible. I very much doubt he will ever forget that meeting. Today, we need more people like Jo. The climate 10 years after her murder is even more febrile and more divided. We have all seen the shocking events of this recently. And we must not forget that in the end, Jo was a tragic victim of those divisions. Her murder sent shockwaves through us all, and yet lessons have not been learnt. A few years later, the wonderful Sir David Amess paid the same price. And we must not forget also the MPs who were murdered before: Airey Neave in 1979, Robert Bradford in 1981, Anthony Berry in 1948, and my beloved friend and colleague Ian Gow on Monday, the 30th of July 1990, as he left his home at the doghouse in Hankham near Eastbourne to serve his constituents, all murdered by terrorists while serving their constituents. Today we are witnessing more and more the consequences of polarisation wrought by fear and cynical exploitation. Divisions are growing, principled politicians are declining, and yet this debate underlines that in these dark days there is more that unites us, and that so much of the work we do in this place is not characterised by division. Jo would have been appalled by Boris Johnson's decision, first to vaporise DFID, and second to slash the development budget. I suspect that she would have been even more incandescent to learn that a Labour government had gone even further. I have no doubt in my mind that were she alive today, she would have fought tooth and nail to stop it from happening. Unfortunately, very few people have put their heads above the parapet. For reasons we all understand, fear of missing out on promotions, facing demotions, and of generally rocking the boat. Politics is a fragile business.
On that point,
I will.
Give way. I thank my right honourable friend for giving way. The importance of international development aid cannot be understated. And would he agree with me that I recognise a need for a nation to be prepared to defend itself against all threats from outside and from within, but the funding for that should not come from international development aid? Would you agree with me on that?
Well, yes, Deputy Speaker, I do agree with him. And of course, development funding, international development, is the other side of the defence coin. And the two work together, and the role of soft power is enormously important in preventing conflict and war. So I do agree with him, and I see that the Leader of the House is with us today in this debate, and I hope very much that he will restore the old custom that once a year there should be a debate on international development in the House, in government time. When I next have a chance to get in on business questions, I shall perhaps ask him whether he will consider that. Madam Deputy Speaker, the passage of time will never erase Jo's memory, legacy, and her profound impact on those who had the pleasure of knowing and loving and working with her. I am looking forward to hearing contributions from many honourable members as we all take comfort in the memory of a truly wonderful human being.
That brings us to the front bench contributions. With the leave of the House, Sir Andrew Mitchell.
With the leave of the House, Madam Deputy Speaker. This has been an interesting, important and at times very moving debate as we commemorate the life, causes and work of our great friend and honourable friend, Jo Cox, and how we take her work and her inspiration forward. And there have been many great speeches with some very consistent warnings, themes and concerns and important agendas which all of us should be pursuing. If I may start with the speech by the Honourable Lady for Spen Valley, She reminded us that, as well as a politician, her sister was and a figure in public life, her sister was also a mother of a brilliant family, daughter, sister, mother, and we remember today how much that family has suffered and how much they have contributed to our country as her legacy. And it's so good to hear the news which she told the House about Jo's children, Kulin and Layla. She made an absolutely superb speech, which I think really placed this debate today in the position it needed to be. The Honourable Member for Mid Dunbartonshire underlined the importance of the work tackling loneliness, and my neighbour, the Honourable Member for Birmingham Yardley, brought brummy good sense to the debate. We always enjoy her contributions in the royal town of Sutton Coldfield. And she set out the importance of friendship and family, and above all, the importance of political courage. The member for Brighton Pavilion spoke eloquently about Jo's leadership on the huge value of building united communities. And the member for Ilford North, the Right Honourable gentleman, in a speech which was uplifting and will, I have no doubt, be carefully parsed by his whip's office, who will look at his speech with particular interest. But he spoke up for more in common, emphasising that it does not mean we all have to agree, but it's important that we know how to disagree in the appropriate manner. He made the point far better than me that although the media focus on our divisions in this place, there's an awful lot of harmony, agreement and close working together, which does indeed get things done. The Honourable Member for Dewsbury and Batley emphasised the importance of confronting reckless and inflammatory language and those who enable it to be spread, a most important point which occurred a number of times during the debate. The member for Neath and Swansea East called for more Joes and made a lovely speech, and the member for Oldham West, Chatterton and Royton emphasised the importance of simple courtesy and much more, both in the House and in the politics outside. The member for Llanelli made an important speech on the need to focus on safety online and also tackling loneliness. And I want to thank her and others too for the very nice comments they made about our friend and colleague Sir David Amos. The member for Bethnal Green and Stepney, who has made such a contribution to cross-party work on international development, made a most important point that the sheer personal cost of coming into politics and Parliament today, particularly for women, has risen hugely. And as parliamentarians, to protect future generations and ensure their interest, commitment and ambition, we need to focus on that in our time. The Honourable Lady for Brent East entertained the House with her drinking stories. We are all relieved to see that she managed to get home in the Right Honourable Member for Ilford North's kindly arranged taxi. She spoke... Yes, I will give way.
I finally understand why my rating is slightly below 5 stars.
The House will have heard the Right Honourable Gentleman's comments. The Honourable Lady for Brent East spoke about her work doing battle on the radio show of the excellent Ian Dale, a highly respected broadcaster, against the evil side of social media, and we should all thank her for that. The Honourable Member for Poplar and Limehouse, in a most important contribution, spoke about the excellent work on projects that she had done with the Jo Cox Foundation. She told us of the appalling abuse she has faced, which on behalf of His Majesty's Opposition I want to condemn in the strongest possible terms today from the dispatch box, and across the House we salute her bravery. The Honourable Member for Portsmouth North talked about Jo's Foundation and the Jo Cox Leadership Campaign and the agenda for change and the need for all of us to stand against targeted abuse, threats and hatred. And she reminded the House of the horrific level of threats faced by candidates in the 2024 general election, giving the House the independent figures that have been collated, and we must ensure collectively that this is never allowed to happen again. The member for North West Leicestershire talked compellingly about the work of the Jo Cox Foundation and its impact in her constituency and the importance of continuing to build on that locally, while the member for Edinburgh South West revealed the diversity of political view, at least at one time, in the Arthur family, something the Mitchell family would recognise, and he said there hadn't been much pushback on the international development cuts in this place, and I invite him to join me and others across the House in campaigning to change that, in the certain knowledge that Jo Cox would have thoroughly approved of our taking up that cause with very great vigour, and will be delighted that we've done so. The Honourable Lady for Milton Keynes Central entertained the House with stories of her and Jo's pregnancy and their work together as mums, and her efforts to make the House more friendly to mums and children. I must tell the House that back in 1988, it was I and the member for Chelmsford, Simon Burns, who finally persuaded the House authorities to allow 2 high chairs to be placed in the cafeteria downstairs, what was then called the Strangers' Cafeteria, so that we could bring our children in for tea once a week on a Tuesday. And finally, Madam Deputy Speaker, the member for Hyndburn talked about the force of Jo's legacy because of her example and the way in which she conducted herself. She made the interesting point that we are both more connected and more disconnected than ever before, and she talked of the hurt so often caused by keyboard warriors who behave in a way they never would if they were held to account. So, Madam Deputy Speaker, it's my pleasure to add my voice on behalf of the opposition to the important points and the spirit of unity and community which have characterised this excellent debate.